At 8:47 a.m. on December 16, 1944, Staff Sergeant Joseph Brennan crouched behind a shattered stone wall in Rocherath, Belgium, watching 11 German officers coordinate an assault that would kill every American defender in the town if someone didn't stop it. 28 years old, 68 days in Belgium, 37 confirmed kills as a sniper. The officers were 400 yards away, clustered near a disabled half-track, directing mortar teams and infantry movements with hand signals and shouted commands. They were winning. Brennan had a wooden ladder propped against the wall beside him. 12 feet long, 18 pounds, collapsible. His battalion commander had explicitly ordered him not to use it, called it reckless, called it tactically unsound, banned the technique 3 weeks ago. But Brennan could see what would happen in the next 10 minutes if those 11 officers kept coordinating. German mortars would bracket American positions. Infantry would advance under covering fire. Americans would be overrun. The math was simple. 11 German officers alive meant 200 Americans dead. Or Brennan could grab the ladder, disobey orders, and find out if 6 minutes of pure aggression could change how snipers fought for the next 80 years. December 1944. American forces were dying in Belgium at rates that made commanders question whether they could hold the line. Not from overwhelming German numbers, not from superior German equipment, from German snipers killing American officers faster than the army could replace them. The pattern was consistent and brutal across every sector. American units would enter a town. German snipers would observe from concealed positions, wait for officers to gather, fire, disappear before American counter-snipers could respond. By mid-December, the 2nd Infantry Division had lost 23 officers in 11 days. Battalion commanders, company captains, platoon leaders. The 28th Infantry Division lost 19 officers in 8 days. High-value targets identified by insignia eliminated before they could coordinate attacks. The standard response was always the same. American units lost their officer. Spent 30 to 40 minutes reorganizing under the next senior man. By then, German forces had repositioned, fortified, or withdrawn completely. The loss of one officer could stall an entire company's advance for hours. American counter-sniper doctrine said, establish observation position, wait for enemy sniper to reveal location through muzzle flash, engage with precision fire. It was textbook. It was proven. It had worked in World War I. But German snipers in 1944 weren't following World War I patterns. They never fired more than once from the same position. A German sniper would shoot an American officer from a church bell tower, then relocate to a barn 400 yards away, shoot again from a completely different angle, then move to a third-story apartment window. American snipers couldn't track them, couldn't predict their next position, couldn't kill what they couldn't find. The Germans understood something fundamental. Static positions made you vulnerable. Movement made you deadly. Captain James Morrison died on November 7, 1944, in the Hurtgen Forest. 32 years old, wife and 2 children waiting in Maryland. He was coordinating an artillery strike on German positions when a single rifle shot dropped him at 11:23 a.m. The round came from a church bell tower 650 yards northeast. American counter-snipers reached the church 18 minutes later, found the firing position, spent brass casing, good sight lines. But the German sniper was gone. 4 minutes after killing Morrison, that sniper had fired again from a barn 400 yards south, wounding an American sergeant. By the time counter-snipers secured the barn, the German was shooting from a third position. Morrison's battalion lost cohesion after his death. Took 45 minutes to reorganize. By then, the German advance they were trying to stop had succeeded. Lieutenant Thomas Hayes died on November 12, 1944, near Wassenack. 24 years old, engaged to be married. He was directing an infantry advance across open ground when a German sniper shot him through the chest at 09:15 hours. The shot came from a third-story window in a partially collapsed apartment building. Hayes died before the medic reached him. American counter-snipers identified the firing position within 6 minutes. Moved to engage, found the room empty except for a single spent cartridge and a chair positioned for a clear sight line. The German had fired, waited long enough to confirm the kill, then relocated. American infantry advance stalled for an hour while they searched for the sniper. Found nothing. The German had disappeared into rubble-strewn streets. Major Robert Whitmore died on November 18, 1944, during an officer briefing in a farmhouse basement. 38 years old, 16 years of service, battalion commander. The German sniper fired through a ground-level window at 14:32 hours. One shot, 600 yards from a farmhouse attic. Whitmore died instantly. The 3 other officers in the briefing survived because they were standing at different angles. American forces surrounded the farmhouse within 12 minutes. Found the attic position, found evidence of a sniper nest. Blanket, food wrappers, spent casings from 3 different kills. But the German was gone, had probably left within 2 minutes of shooting Whitmore. Witnesses reported seeing no one leave the farmhouse. The sniper had escaped through a collapsed section of roof, across adjoining buildings, gone before Americans even knew which building he'd fired from. By late November, American officers were taking precautions. Removed rank insignia, avoided gathering in groups, moved quickly between covered positions. But German snipers adapted. They watched for officers by behavior instead of insignia. Watched for the man other soldiers deferred to. Watched for the man with binoculars and maps. Watched for the man coordinating movements. The casualties continued. 3 to 4 American officers every day across the 2nd and 28th Infantry Divisions. Every death degraded American combat effectiveness. Every loss meant delays, confusion, reorganization under fire. Joseph Brennan had been watching this pattern for 8 weeks. Brennan grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Construction worker before the war, steel worker. Spent 10 years working high-rise buildings, walking steel beams 200 feet above the ground. Joined the Army in January 1942, age 26. Volunteered for sniper training. Graduated in the top 10% of his class at Camp Perry, Ohio. Not because of exceptional marksmanship. His scores were good, but not outstanding. He graduated near the top because he understood terrain better than anyone else in the program. Understood how to read a battlefield. How to predict where enemy soldiers would move. How to position himself for maximum effectiveness. By December 1944, Brennan had 37 confirmed kills across 8 months of combat. Normandy, France, Belgium. He was known for patience, discipline, textbook sniper tactics. He'd find a concealed position with good sight lines, observe for hours, take 1 or 2 high-probability shots, relocate slowly and carefully to a new position a quarter-mile away. It was exactly what the sniper manual prescribed. It worked, but it wasn't working against German snipers who killed American officers and vanished. Brennan started studying German sniper positions in early November. Every time Americans captured a building that German snipers had used, Brennan examined it. Looked at firing positions, looked at sight lines, looked at entry and exit routes. He noticed something that American counter-sniper doctrine wasn't addressing. German snipers moved vertically. They'd start on the ground floor of a building, fire from a window, move to the 2nd floor, fire again, move to the attic, fire a 3rd time, then leave the building entirely and start the pattern again from a different structure. They were using the vertical space inside buildings the same way infantry used terrain features for cover and concealment. American snipers didn't do this. American snipers moved horizontally, building to building at ground level. Predictable routes, slow movement, easy to track if you knew what to look for. Brennan realized the fundamental problem. American snipers were hunting Germans at ground level. Germans were hunting Americans from elevated positions they could access and abandon faster than Americans could respond. The Germans owned the vertical space. Americans owned nothing. On November 3rd, 1944, Brennan built a ladder, found wood from a bombed Belgian farmhouse outside Hurtgen, cut 2 sections, each 6 feet long, connected them with hinges salvaged from a barn door. The ladder extended to 12 feet, collapsed to 4 feet, total weight 18 pounds, light enough to carry with his rifle, ammunition, and standard combat gear. He spent 3 days testing it, made sure the hinges wouldn't fail under his weight, made sure it wouldn't make noise when he extended or collapsed it, made sure he could carry it through rubble without it catching on debris. The concept was simple. Approach a building from a covered position, extend the ladder, climb to a second-story window, take position, fire 1 or 2 shots maximum, drop the ladder down the exterior wall, descend, collapse the ladder, move to a completely different building before German counter-snipers could respond. Total time in any single position, under 90 seconds. It violated every principle in Army Field Manual. 23-10, the Sniper's Bible. Snipers were supposed to establish static positions, observe for extended periods, take deliberate, carefully calculated shots, minimize movement, maximize concealment. Brennan's method was the opposite. Aggressive, mobile, unpredictable. It worked. Brennan tested the ladder on November 8, 1944, near Wassenach. A German sniper had killed 2 American officers that morning. 07:23 hours. Captain Donald Pierce shot coordinating artillery positions. 09:41 hours. Lieutenant Marcus Webb shot directing infantry movement. Both kills from different positions. Both German firing locations identified. Both empty by the time American counter-snipers arrived. The pattern everyone had seen for weeks. Brennan's company commander, Captain Robert Mitchell, was desperate. He'd lost 2 officers in 3 hours. His company was combat ineffective without leadership. When Brennan explained the ladder technique, Mitchell was skeptical but authorized 1 attempt. 1 test. If it worked, they'd discuss it further. If it failed, Brennan would return to standard doctrine. Mitchell made it clear. This wasn't official approval. This was field experimentation under combat necessity. Brennan positioned himself in a damaged schoolhouse at 06:47 hours. The building had partial roof collapse but intact walls on 3 sides. He'd observed German sniper activity from this sector for 2 days. Knew the patterns. Knew the Germans favored a row of apartment buildings 300 yards northeast. The German sniper who'd killed Pierce and Webb was probably still in that sector. Germans rarely relocated more than 400 yards after successful kills. They found productive hunting zones and worked them until Americans cleared the area. Brennan's ladder was strapped to his back. The wood pressed against his spine. 18 pounds didn't sound like much until you carried it for 2 hours through rubble with a 10-ounce M1903 Springfield rifle, 40 rounds of ammunition, binoculars, and standard combat gear. Total weight, 65 pounds. His shoulders ached. Didn't matter. The ladder was the tool that would let him hunt Germans at their level instead of waiting for them to hunt him. 06:52 hours. Brennan spotted movement in the apartment buildings. 3rd-story window. Brief shadow. Could be civilian. Could be German sniper. He watched for 8 minutes. No further movement. But the position was right. Good sight lines toward American positions. Covered approach from interior stairs. Multiple exit routes through connected buildings. 0714 hours. Brennan saw him. German sniper, visible for 3 seconds as he adjusted position near the window. Definitely military. Definitely armed. The same man who'd killed 2 American officers. Brennan moved. Extended the ladder against the schoolhouse's interior wall. The hinges creaked slightly. He froze. Listened. No response. The sound hadn't carried beyond the building. He positioned the ladder below a second-story window that still had most of its frame intact. The glass was gone, but the opening was clear. Climbing took 9 seconds. 11 rungs. His boots found each rung deliberately. Didn't rush. Rushing meant noise. Noise meant the German would hear him and relocate. At the top, Brennan eased himself through the window. The second-story room had been a classroom. Small desks overturned. Chalkboard cracked. Smell of old smoke and damp plaster. He moved to the window facing northeast. 300 yards to the apartment building. Third-story window where he'd seen the German. Brennan settled into shooting position. Prone. Rifle supported on the windowsill. The German was still there. Barely visible. Professional discipline. Minimum exposure. Brennan controlled his breathing. Calculated windage. Slight breeze from the west. Adjusted aim 2 inches right. The German shifted. More of his upper body visible now. Probably preparing to take another shot at American positions. Brennan fired at 0729 hours. 1 shot. The German dropped. Brennan didn't wait to confirm the kill. Didn't take a second shot. The ladder was still against the exterior wall below the window. He'd positioned it on the outside specifically for fast descent. He grabbed the ladder's top rung, dropped it. The ladder fell 3 seconds, hit the ground outside with a soft thud. Brennan climbed out the window, descended. 6 seconds. His boots hit ground at 0729 hours, 42 seconds. He collapsed the ladder. 4 seconds. The hinges folded smoothly. The whole assembly compressed to 4 feet. He strapped it to his back and moved. 47 seconds total. From firing the shot to being mobile again. 47 seconds before German counter-snipers could identify his position and respond. Brennan relocated 200 yards south to a different building. Got into a ground floor position with sight lines back toward the schoolhouse. If Germans came looking for him, he'd see them approach. 8 minutes later, 3 German soldiers entered the schoolhouse. Searched it, found nothing. Brennan was gone. American forward observers confirmed the kill at 0815 hours. German sniper dead in the apartment building. 3rd-story window. Single shot through the chest. No other German casualties in the area. The sniper who'd killed Pierce and Webb was neutralized. Captain Mitchell wanted Brennan to explain the technique in detail. Brennan showed him the ladder, explained the concept. Vertical mobility, rapid position changes, never stay in one place longer than 90 seconds. Mitchell understood immediately, authorized Brennan to continue using it. Brennan used the ladder again on November 9th, German sniper operating near Wassenach's eastern edge. Brennan climbed to a 2nd-story position. 1 shot, 1 kill. Total time in position, 53 seconds. On November 11th, another German sniper. This time Brennan used the ladder to access a 3rd-story window in a partially collapsed building. 2 shots, 1 kill. 1 probable kill. Descended and relocated before German forces responded. 3 German snipers killed in 4 days. 0 American counter-sniper casualties. The ladder technique worked. Quantifiably, undeniably. Word spread through the 2nd Infantry Division. Other snipers heard about Brennan's method. Some were interested. Some thought it was reckless. But the results were impossible to ignore. 3 German snipers dead. Brennan still alive. American officers in his sector surviving at higher rates because German snipers weren't operating with impunity anymore. On November 13, 1944, Brennan's company commander filed a report. Standard after-action documentation described Brennan's ladder technique, mentioned effectiveness, sent it up the chain of command to battalion headquarters. Captain Mitchell thought it was positive recognition. Thought maybe the technique would be adopted more widely. He was wrong. Lieutenant Colonel Henry Morrison commanded the battalion, 43 years old, West Point graduate, 17 years of service, combat veteran of World War I, by-the-book officer who believed in established doctrine because established doctrine had been proven over decades of warfare. Morrison read Mitchell's report on November 13th at 1500 hours. Read about Brennan climbing ladders to second-story windows. Read about 47-second exposure times. Read about aggressive movement between positions. Everything in the report violated Field Manual 23-10. Morrison called a battalion staff meeting for November 14th. 0800 hours. All company commanders present. He addressed the ladder technique directly, said it was tactically unsound, said it exposed snipers during ladder climbs, said it required movement between positions that increased vulnerability to German patrols. Said snipers were supposed to observe and eliminate targets from concealed positions, not run around with ladders like chimney sweeps. Morrison's concerns weren't completely unfounded. The ladder technique was aggressive. It did expose the sniper during the climb. It did require movement through potentially hostile territory. But Morrison hadn't seen German snipers killing American officers every day for 6 weeks. Hadn't watched American advances stall because leadership got eliminated. Hadn't stood over the bodies of captains and lieutenants who died following doctrine while Germans ignored it. Morrison issued a direct order on November 14th at 1400 hours. Staff Sergeant Joseph Brennan would cease using the ladder technique immediately. Return to standard sniper doctrine, static positions, prolonged observation, deliberate engagement. The order was clear and explicit. No exceptions. Captain Mitchell received the order at 1523 hours. He found Brennan in the company area cleaning his rifle. Told him about Morrison's decision. Brennan asked if the colonel understood the technique had killed 3 German snipers in 4 days. Mitchell said yes. Morrison knew. Didn't matter. The technique violated doctrine. Doctrine existed for reasons. Brennan was ordered to comply. Brennan complied. Followed orders. He was a staff sergeant, not a general. Didn't get to decide which orders made sense and which didn't. He stored the ladder, returned to standard sniper operations, found static positions, observed for hours, took careful shots when opportunities presented. It worked adequately. He killed 2 more German soldiers in the next week. But neither were snipers, neither were high-value targets, and German snipers kept killing American officers. November 15th, 1944. Lieutenant Frank Rodriguez died at 0750 hours near Hurtgen Forest. 26 years old, from Texas. Shot while coordinating mortar fire. German sniper fired from a church steeple, relocated before counter-snipers responded. Rodriguez had been in theater for 11 days. November 22nd. Captain William Chen died at 1300 hours. 31 years old, from California. Shot during a briefing with his platoon leaders. German sniper fired from a barn loft 450 yards away. Chen died instantly. The briefing was in a supposedly secure area. Didn't matter. German snipers found secure areas and made them fatal. November 29th, Major David Sullivan died at 0930 hours. 37 years old, from Massachusetts. Battalion executive officer, shot while inspecting defensive positions. German sniper fired from rubble pile 300 yards north. Sullivan was wearing a standard uniform with no visible rank insignia. German sniper identified him by behavior, by how other soldiers moved around him. Sullivan had survived North Africa and Sicily. Died in Belgium from a sniper who understood that officers revealed themselves through command presence, not uniform decorations. December 7th, 1944. Lieutenant Colonel Henry Morrison, the same officer who banned Brennan's ladder technique, died at 10:45 hours. 43 years old. Shot during a reconnaissance patrol near Rocherath. German sniper fired from a stone barn. Morrison was planning defensive positions for the upcoming German offensive that intelligence had warned about. He died before he could finish the reconnaissance. His death created command confusion in the battalion for 18 hours while the chain of command reorganized. 11 American officers died between November 15th and December 15th. All killed by German snipers, all following the same pattern. German fires from elevated position, relocates before American counter-snipers respond. The 2nd Infantry Division kept losing leadership, kept reorganizing under fire, kept following doctrine that assumed snipers fought from static positions. Brennan watched officers die, knew his ladder technique could have saved some of them, maybe not all, but some. He followed orders anyway, stayed in static positions, took careful shots when opportunities arose, killed enemy soldiers when he could. But the German snipers kept winning, kept killing American leadership faster than the army could replace it. Brennan kept a journal, not detailed, just brief notes, dates, names, observations. One entry from December 10th, 1944 said, "Doctrine says patience. Patience buries officers." He didn't write more than that. Didn't need to. By mid-December, the 2nd Infantry Division had lost 23 officers to German snipers in 6 weeks. 23 funerals, 23 letters to families. 23 times that American advances stalled or failed because leadership got eliminated at critical moments. Doctrine wasn't working. But doctrine was doctrine. Orders were orders. Then on December 16th, 1944, everything changed. The Germans launched the largest counteroffensive of the war. And doctrine stopped mattering because survival mattered more. December 16th, 1944, 0530 hours. German forces launched Operation Wacht am Rhein, Watch on the Rhine, the largest German counteroffensive of the war. 200,000 German troops smashed into 80,000 American defenders across an 85-mile front in Belgium and Luxembourg. 4 German armies, 3 panzer divisions, 2,000 artillery pieces. The objective was simple and ambitious. Split Allied forces in half, capture the port of Antwerp, force a negotiated peace before America could bring its full industrial might to bear. Brennan's unit, 2nd Infantry Division, held positions in the twin villages of Rocherath-Krinkelt, critical road junction. If Germans captured these villages, they'd have clear access to the road network leading west toward the Meuse River. American commanders knew this. German commanders knew this. The villages had to be taken or held. No other option mattered. 0530 hours. German artillery opened fire. 400 guns. Shells impacted across American positions for 90 minutes. Brennan was in a basement bunker when the barrage started. The walls shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. The sound was continuous thunder. Men didn't talk during artillery barrages. Couldn't hear each other anyway. Just waited for it to stop. 0700 hours. Artillery lifted. German infantry advanced. Brennan emerged from the bunker into dawn light filtered through smoke and fog. Visibility, 300 yards. Buildings burned. American defensive positions had taken casualties, but held. The real attack was coming now. 0730 hours. German infantry appeared through the fog. Not scattered skirmishers, organized assault teams. Multiple groups advancing in coordinated waves. Brennan counted 600 soldiers minimum in the visible sector. Probably more beyond the fog. American defenders numbered approximately 200 in Rocherath. The math was bad. 3-to-1 odds. Americans needed to slow the German advance until reinforcements arrived, or the entire position would collapse. 0815 hours. Brennan observed German tactics from a ground floor position in a damaged bakery. The Germans were fighting smart. Officer-led assault teams, lieutenants and captains coordinating mortar fire, directing infantry movement, establishing suppression positions. The coordination was professional and effective. American defensive fire was hitting German soldiers, but not degrading their organizational cohesion. As long as German officers kept directing the attack, the assault would continue with discipline. 0847 hours. Brennan counted 11 German officers in the visible sector, all within 400 yards. Hauptmanns directing platoon movements. Lieutenants coordinating with radio men. One Oberstleutnant near a disabled half-track, clearly in overall command of the assault. 11 officers. If they kept coordinating, Americans would be overrun within 30 minutes. Brennan's ladder was propped against the bakery wall, 6 feet away. He'd carried it since November 3rd, but hadn't used it since November 14th. 29 days of following orders while German snipers killed American officers. But this wasn't a normal engagement. This was the largest German attack since Normandy. Command structure had partially collapsed. Communications were sporadic, radio networks overloaded. In this chaos, nobody was tracking what one staff sergeant was doing with a wooden ladder. Brennan made a decision. Grabbed the ladder. If anyone court-martialed him later, at least he'd be alive for the trial. 0847 hours, 12 seconds. Brennan sprinted 40 yards from the bakery to a stone house with an intact second. Story. German small arms fire impacted around him, rounds hitting rubble. He didn't slow, reached the building, positioned the ladder against the exterior wall below a window, extended it. 8 seconds. The hinges worked smoothly, muscle memory from weeks of practice. The ladder locked at full extension, 12 feet. He climbed, 11 rungs, 9 seconds. His Springfield rifle slung across his back bounced against his spine. 40 rounds of ammunition in pouches, binoculars, canteen. Total weight pulling at his shoulders. Didn't matter. Keep climbing. 0847 hours, 29 seconds. Brennan reached the second-story window, pulled himself through. The room had been residential, furniture overturned, walls pocked with shrapnel damage. He moved to the window facing the German positions, unslung his rifle. Prone position, elbows braced on the windowsill. 350 yards, 2 German officers near a mortar team, Hauptmann and Oberleutnant, both pointing toward American positions. Coordinating fire. Brennan picked the Hauptmann, higher rank, more important target. Breathing controlled, sight picture clear, windage calculated, slight breeze from west, adjusted aim 3 inches right, 0847 hours, 47 seconds. Brennan fired. The Springfield's recoil punched his shoulder. The Hauptmann dropped, clean chest shot, 0847 hours, 51 seconds. Brennan shifted aim. The Oberleutnant was turning, reacting to his commander falling. Brennan fired again. Headshot. The Oberleutnant collapsed. The mortar team lost coordination immediately, stopped firing. Soldiers scattered. No officer to direct them. Brennan didn't watch. Moved to the window. The ladder was still there. He dropped it. 3 seconds. It hit the ground exterior side. Climbed out. Descended. 7 seconds. Boots hit ground. Collapsed the ladder. 5 seconds. Strapped it to his back. 0849 hours, 5 seconds. Total time in position, 1 minute, 18 seconds. Brennan moved. 120 yards northeast, stone house with partially collapsed second floor. The structure looked unstable, but the walls were intact. Good enough. Brennan extended the ladder against a section of wall that seemed solid. Climbed through a blown-out window. The second floor was open to the sky. Roof completely gone. But the walls provided cover, and the elevation gave him sight lines. 280 yards. 3 German officers directing an infantry assault. A major coordinating platoon movements. 2 Hauptmanns positioning soldiers for suppressing fire. The major was the primary target. Battalion or regiment level officer. His death would create significant command disruption. 0850 hours, 4 seconds. Brennan fired. The major took the round through the shoulder, spun, fell. Not a guaranteed kill, but definitely out of action. 0850 hours, 9 seconds. 1 Hauptmann was reaching for the radio, trying to report the major's casualty. Brennan fired. Chest shot. The Hauptmann died before he could key the radio. 0850 hours, 15 seconds. The second Hauptmann was attempting to rally the troops, shouting orders, taking command. Brennan fired. Head shot. The Hauptmann dropped. German infantry advance stalled. No officers, no coordination. Soldiers took cover, waited for orders that weren't coming. Brennan dropped the ladder, descended. 15 seconds total this time. He'd improved the technique, smoother movements, less wasted motion. 0851 hours, 30 seconds, 90 yards east. Small building attached to a damaged church, probably administrative annex. Second story intact, window 16 feet above ground, maximum extension for his ladder. Brennan positioned the ladder. It barely reached. He climbed carefully. The angle was steeper than optimal. At the top, he pulled himself through the window. His rifle caught on the frame. Cost him 3 seconds working it free. Inside, the room was small. Church office, desk, files scattered. Brennan moved to the window facing southwest. Different angle than his previous positions. Different sector of the battlefield visible. 420 yards. 2 German officers near a Kubelwagen. Staff car. One was an Oberstleutnant, lieutenant colonel, the other a Hauptmann. The lieutenant colonel was clearly senior leadership, probably directing multiple assault elements across the entire Rocherath sector. 0851 hours, 38 seconds. Brennan fired at extreme range for the M1903 Springfield. 420 yards was pushing the weapon's practical accuracy. The shot needed to be perfect. The Oberstleutnant took the round through the torso, fell against the Kubelwagen. The Hauptmann moved to help him. 0851 hours, 44 seconds. Brennan fired again. 410 yards. The Hauptmann went down. Chest shot. German forces now completely without senior leadership in this sector. No battalion commander, no company commanders. Only junior officers and NCOs trying to maintain cohesion. Brennan descended the ladder. 18 seconds. The angle made it slower. He collapsed the ladder and moved. 140 yards south, row house. 3 stories, but only the first 2 were accessible. Third story partially collapsed. Brennan didn't need 3 stories. Second story gave him adequate elevation. He extended the ladder against the row house wall. Climbed. Through the window. The room had been a bedroom. Mattress torn. Personal belongings scattered. He ignored it, moved to the window. 290 yards. 4 German officers clustered near a disabled half-track. Last concentration of leadership in the visible sector. All 4 attempting to reorganize scattered German units. If these 4 stayed alive, they might restore German assault momentum. 08:53 hours, 1 second. Brennan fired. Hauptmann, 290 yards, headshot. The officer dropped. 08:53 hours, 6 seconds. A lieutenant was attempting to take command. Young officer, probably fresh from training, shouting orders, trying to rally soldiers. Brennan fired. 285 yards. Chest shot. The lieutenant fell. 08:53 hours, 12 seconds. An Oberleutnant was directing soldiers toward cover. Experienced officer, keeping his men alive while waiting for reinforcements. Smart tactics. Brennan fired. 295 yards, torso shot. The Oberleutnant collapsed. 08:53 hours, 19 seconds. Last officer, Hauptmann. He'd seen 3 officers die in 18 seconds. Was turning to retreat. Running. Brennan tracked him, led the target. 310 yards and moving. Fired. The round hit the Hauptmann in the back as he ran. He fell. 11 officers, 6 minutes, 4 positions. Brennan descended the ladder for the final time. Collapsed it. Strapped it to his back. Moved through rubble back toward American lines. 08:53 hours, 47 seconds. Sequence complete. The German assault had stalled. Completely. American defenders watched through gun sights and couldn't understand what happened. German infantry advancing with professional discipline 1 minute. Scattered and defensive the next. No coordinated attacks, no suppressing fire, no tactical cohesion. What they didn't see was 11 German officers dead across 4 positions in 6 minutes. Didn't see 1 American sniper with a ladder moving faster than German forces could respond. Brennan reached American defensive positions at 0900 hours. His company commander, Captain Mitchell, was coordinating defensive fire from a rubble barricade. He saw Brennan with the ladder and understood immediately. What the hell did you just do? 11 officers, 6 minutes, 4 positions. Mitchell stared at him. Morrison banned that technique. Morrison's dead. Died yesterday near the command post. German sniper. Mitchell processed this. The officer who banned the ladder was dead. Killed by the same German tactics the ladder was designed to counter. And Brennan had just used the banned technique to stop a German assault that would have killed everyone in Rocherath. Did it work? Mitchell asked. Brennan looked toward the German lines. Infantry in defensive positions. No officers coordinating. No assault momentum. Yes, sir. It worked. American forces held Rocherath through December 16th. The German offensive continued elsewhere, but stalled in this sector. Not because of overwhelming American firepower, not because of reinforcements. Because 11 German officers died before they could coordinate the assault that would have broken through. Nobody court-martialed Brennan. Nobody even filed paperwork about his disobedience. Everyone was too busy surviving the largest German counteroffensive of the war. But word spread fast. 11 officers, 6 minutes. 1 sniper with a ladder. Other snipers heard the story. Started asking questions. Started thinking about vertical mobility. Started wondering if maybe doctrine needed updating. The Germans heard the story too, and they started hunting. German forces realized something had happened on December 16th by 1400 hours. 11 officers dead across 1 sector. All within 6 minutes. All from elevated positions. No German counter-snipers had seen the American shooter. Nobody had identified his firing positions until after he'd already left them. German intelligence officers examined the pattern. Concluded, single American sniper with unusual mobility and aggressive tactics. Radio intercepts captured by American signals intelligence 3 days later included German communications about amerikanischer Scharfschütze mit Leiterausrüstung, American sharpshooter with ladder equipment. The Germans had figured out Brennan's method, not through captured documents or interrogations, through simple observation. They found his firing positions, found marks where a ladder had scraped against stone walls, found the angles he'd used, understood he was accessing second-story positions faster than normal climbing methods would allow. German response was immediate and professional. 6 elite counter-sniper teams were assigned to the Rocherath-Krinkelt sector between December 17th and December 19th. Their specific mission: locate and eliminate the American ladder sniper. German command offered a reward: 200 Reichsmarks to whichever team killed him. Not standard practice. German military didn't usually offer bounties for individual enemy soldiers, but 11 officers in 6 minutes was exceptional. That level of effectiveness required exceptional response. Brennan continued operating. December 17th through December 24th, 8 days of combat during the Battle of the Bulge. He used the ladder technique on 11 separate engagements, 14 more German officers killed. Not all in dramatic 6-minute sequences, sometimes 1 officer per day, sometimes 2. But consistent pressure on German leadership. Every dead officer degraded German combat effectiveness, created coordination delays, forced junior officers into command positions they weren't prepared for. German counter-sniper teams hunted him. They studied his patterns, tried to predict which buildings he'd use, tried to anticipate his firing positions. Failed every time. Brennan never used the same building twice, never established predictable patterns, never stayed in position longer than 90 seconds. The ladder gave him access to hundreds of potential firing positions across Rocherath-Krinkelt. Germans couldn't cover them all. December 22nd, 1944. German counter-snipers almost succeeded. Brennan was using a stone warehouse, second-story position overlooking a German assembly area. He'd fired 2 shots, killed 1 Hauptmann, wounded 1 Oberleutnant, was descending his ladder when German counter-snipers spotted him. They'd been watching that sector, waiting for the ladder to appear. When it did, they opened fire immediately. Mauser rifles, 3 shooters, approximately 350 yards. 7 rounds impacted the wall around the ladder. Stone chips exploded. 1 round passed 6 inches from Brennan's head. He felt the shock wave, kept descending, didn't rush. Rushing caused falls, falls caused injuries, injuries caused death. He reached the ground, collapsed the ladder, moved. German fire followed him, but he was already behind cover. Stone wall, then rubble pile, then into a basement entrance. 0 hits. The Germans had found him, but couldn't kill him. The ladder technique was too fast. 90 seconds from shot to mobile. Even when Germans were actively hunting him, even when they had him under observation, they couldn't engage fast enough. The psychological impact on German officers was measurable. By December 24th, German junior officers were refusing to expose themselves in open areas. Radio intercepts showed German company commanders ordering their officers to avoid coordinating in visible positions. Stay in cover. Use runners instead of gathering for briefings. Coordinate through radio only. The threat of 1 American sniper with a ladder had changed how German forces operated across the entire Rocherath-Krinkelt sector. American snipers watched Brennan's success. 4 snipers from 2nd Infantry Division adopted the ladder technique by December 20th. Staff Sergeant Robert Hayes built a wooden ladder identical to Brennan's. 12 feet, 18 pounds, collapsible. Used it on December 21st. Killed 2 German officers from second-story positions. Survived without casualties. Sergeant Marcus Webb built a rope ladder. Lighter, 9 pounds. More portable, less stable. Webb used it twice. Decided the instability wasn't worth the weight savings. Went back to wooden construction. 3 snipers from 99th Infantry Division, positioned adjacent to 2nd Division, heard about the technique. Built their own ladders by December 23rd. One used aluminum tubing scavenged from a downed aircraft. 14 pounds, stronger than wood. Sergeant David Park killed 3 German officers on December 24th using the aluminum ladder. The innovation was spreading through field improvisation. No official authorization, no formal training, just snipers teaching each other how to hunt more effectively. By December 26, 1944, 11 American snipers across 2nd and 99th Infantry Divisions were using vertical mobility techniques. Combined casualties: 23 German officers killed in 3 days. The impact on German operations was significant. American forces held positions they should have lost. German assault stalled without coordinated leadership. The Battle of the Bulge continued for weeks. But the Rocherath-Krinkult sector held because German command structure kept getting decapitated. Command noticed. Intelligence officers analyzed casualty reports. German officer losses in 2nd Division sector were 3 times higher than adjacent sectors with similar combat intensity. Something was working. On January 2, 1945, Lieutenant Colonel Henry Morrison's replacement, Lieutenant Colonel Frank Mitchell, no relation to Captain Mitchell, reviewed the evidence. Saw Brennan's name repeatedly. Saw multiple other snipers referencing ladder techniques. Saw the statistical impact. Mitchell made a decision. The same decision Morrison should have made in November. On January 2nd at 1000 hours, Mitchell rescinded the ban on ladder techniques. Issued field guidance, vertical mobility authorized for sniper operations. Snipers may use portable ladders, ropes, or climbing equipment to access elevated firing positions. Standard engagement protocols remain in effect. Identify target, confirm hostile, engage, relocate. The technique was now official doctrine. At least for 2nd Infantry Division. Other divisions would adopt it within weeks as word spread. Statistics proved effectiveness. November 1st through November 15th, 1944, before Brennan developed the ladder technique. American officers killed by German snipers in 2nd Division sector, 23. German officers killed by American snipers, 8. Ratio, 2.9 to 1 in Germany's favor. Americans were losing leadership faster than they could replace it. December 16th through December 31st, 1944, after ladder technique adoption, American officers killed by German snipers in 2nd Division sector, 7. German officers killed by American snipers, 37. Ratio, 5.3 to 1 in America's favor. The numbers reversed completely. Germans were losing leadership. Americans were surviving. German radio intercepts from January 1945 showed the enemy perspective. One intercepted message from a German regiment commander stated, "American snipers have adopted elevated position tactics with rapid mobility. Officers must avoid exposed coordination. Use covered positions only." Another intercept from January 12th. Counter-sniper operations against American ladder snipers ineffective. Enemy relocates before engagement possible. The Germans understood what was happening, couldn't counter it effectively. Joseph Brennan survived the Battle of the Bulge. Continued combat operations January through May 1945 as Allied forces pushed into Germany. He used the ladder technique 73 more times. Final tally: 68 confirmed kills, 31 using ladder technique, 37 using traditional static positions. The ladder kills were exclusively officers and high-value targets. The static kills were mixed. Infantry, machine gunners, occasional officers. February 1945. Brennan received the Silver Star. Citation read, for gallantry in action against an armed enemy. Staff Sergeant Brennan demonstrated exceptional courage and innovative tactical methods during combat operations in Belgium. His actions resulted in significant enemy casualties and contributed materially to the successful defense of critical positions during the German counteroffensive. The citation didn't specifically mention the latter, didn't detail the 11 officers in 6 minutes. Military citations rarely included tactical specifics that might be useful to enemy intelligence. Brennan returned to Pittsburgh in August 1945. War in Europe ended May 8th. War in Pacific ended August 15th. Brennan was home by August 23rd, 29 years old. He'd left Pittsburgh in January 1942 at age 26. 3.5 years of war. Normandy, Hurtgen Forest, Battle of the Bulge, 68 confirmed kills, 1 Silver Star, 2 Purple Hearts for minor wounds, alive. He married Grace Sullivan in November 1946. They'd known each other before the war. She'd waited. They had 3 children between 1947 and 1952. Brennan worked construction, same job he'd had before the war. High-rise buildings, walking steel beams, the skills translated. 1946 through 1982. 36 years working construction in Pittsburgh. Retired at age 66. He never talked much about the war. When people asked, he'd say he was a sniper. Sometimes mentioned he'd been in Belgium during the Bulge. Never mentioned the latter unless pressed. If pressed, he'd say, just seemed like the smart way to get higher than them. That was the extent of his explanation. No dramatic stories, no descriptions of 11 officers in 6 minutes. Just practical problem solving. Height advantage wins engagements. Ladder provides height advantage. Simple. Army sniper doctrine evolved. 1946. Field Manual 23-10 revised. New section added, Mobile Sniper Operations in Urban Terrain. The section described vertical mobility techniques. Emphasized rapid position changes. Maximum time in any single position, 2 minutes. Recommended equipment. Portable ladders, ropes, climbing gear. The manual didn't mention Brennan by name. Military doctrine rarely credited individual soldiers. But the techniques described were exactly what Brennan had developed in Rocherath. Korean War, 1950 through 1953. American snipers used portable ladders in urban operations. 8th Army issued aluminum collapsible ladders to sniper teams. 15-pound models, extended to 14 feet. Used extensively during fighting in Seoul and Pyongyang. Marines developed rope ladder variations. Lighter, 8 pounds. Less stable but adequate for 2-story access. Vietnam, 1960s and 70s. VSOG snipers adapted the technique for jungle and urban operations. Used rope ladders and climbing gear to access elevated positions in trees and buildings. Standard issue for long-range reconnaissance patrol sniper teams. Modern era. Urban sniper training includes vertical mobility as core component. Navy SEAL Sniper Course. Delta Force. Marine Scout Sniper School. All train on rapid vertical access. Equipment evolved. Carbon fiber ladders. 12 pounds. Extend to 15 feet. Collapsible to 3 feet. Grappling hooks. Climbing ropes. Mechanical ascenders. The technology changed, but the principle remained. Access elevation faster than enemy can respond. Fort Benning Sniper School runs a drill called the Brennan Sequence. Students must access a second-story position using portable ladder. Engage 2 targets. Descend. Relocate to different building. Repeat. Total time limit, 2 minutes. Passing standard. Most students need 3 attempts to pass. The drill teaches what Brennan learned in Rocherath. Speed and mobility defeat static defense. Brennan's original ladder survives, preserved at National Infantry Museum, Fort Benning, Georgia. Display case in the World War II gallery. Wooden ladder, 12 feet extended. Hinges still functional. Weathered wood showing wear from 6 weeks of combat use. Placard text. Staff Sergeant Joseph Brennan's ladder. December 1944. This 12-foot collapsible ladder changed American sniper doctrine. SSG Brennan used it to eliminate 31 enemy officers during the Battle of the Bulge. His technique of rapid vertical mobility became standard doctrine for urban sniper operations. Visitors walk past daily. Most don't stop. It's just a ladder. But sniper students stop, touch the wood, read the placard. Understand that innovation comes from necessity. Understand that one staff sergeant with a construction background saw a problem nobody else solved. Understand that doctrine evolves when practical soldiers find better methods. Joseph Brennan died March 15, 1998. Age 88, Pittsburgh. His obituary in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette mentioned his World War II service. Mentioned his Silver Star. Said he was a sniper with 2nd Infantry Division. Didn't mention 68 confirmed kills. Didn't mention the ladder technique. Didn't mention that military sniper doctrine changed because of 6 minutes in Rocherath. His son gave the eulogy at the funeral. Said, "Dad just did what made sense. Didn't think it was special. Saw a problem, fixed it, moved on." Over 2,000 American snipers trained on Brennan's technique since 1945. Fort Benning, Quantico, Fort Bragg. Every military sniper school teaches vertical mobility. Every graduate learns the Brennan sequence. The technique started with one staff sergeant and a wooden ladder in Belgium. Became doctrine used by American military for 80 years. If this story moved you the way it moved us, do us a favor. Hit that like button right now. Every single like tells the algorithm to show this story to more people. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We're rescuing forgotten stories from dusty archives every week. Real people, real innovation, real heroism. Drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. Texas, Germany, Australia, Japan. Our community stretches across the entire world. Tell us if someone in your family served. Tell us what you think about Brennan's technique. Just let us know you're here. You're not just a viewer. You're part of keeping these memories alive. Thank you for watching. Thank you for making sure Joseph Brennan doesn't disappear into silence. These men deserve to be remembered, and you're helping make that happen.